Howdy, folks! Welcome back to another week of Deck Check. We are back with some of that preview goodness, some of those deck check goodness. I am here with my blueberry pie, Benny Bear, Benjamin Button, but you're not aging him. You're beautiful,
brother. I wish I were aging the opposite way. Every day I feel older and older.
Wait, next time I introduce you, I should say Ding Dong Big Ben. Sorry. Anyways, before we jump into the decks that we have for you guys this week, a little quick note: we are going to go over a little bit of EX9 content as well. So if you are someone who's interested in EX9 stuff, specifically EX9 machine stuff, stick around. But I will talk a little briefly on a few other things as well. We just want to say a quick shout out to our members. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. Thank you guys for sticking around and hanging out with us. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this content still. And if you have any decks you want to see, please let us know. We will try and do our best to get them on these videos for you. And to anyone who sees this video when it goes public, thank you for checking us out. If you're someone new here, if you're someone who's been around for a while, thank you for sticking around as well. If you are new here, think about hitting that subscribe button. Think about maybe if you're enjoying this video, hitting the like button, just in general for all you folks out there. That lets the YouTube algorithm know that we're doing swell. And I think we're ready to jump into our first deck here.
Yeah.
So, starting us off, we have an Adventures of Faga list that was run by Tatsu over in JP. Got first place at an Evo Cup. And this list is really cool. So they run the standard kind of like Sunomon egg, which has been it's just like probably the better egg for Adventure at this point. It lets you like do that early poke with the rookies where you can grab them back after they're deleted, chipping security. We have Biomon Search with the floodgates of Gomamon stopping memory gain, which is pretty valuable right now. I think that's probably more valuable than other floodgates at the moment.
Like Tento, because that's the other one that's within Archetype, right? That came in the starter deck?
Yes. And then we have the Palmon for a little bit of extra search as well. Fours, we see the standard kind of Togemon and Bergermon lineup because those are just like the best level fours for Adventure. Being able to free Evo into your fives on player on Evo is just really, really good. And then Ikaku he's a bit more of an interesting choice. Being able to trash some sources, but he has a security Digimon, which is pretty good. Being able to play out of security can give you that sort of comeback potential that you might need. Especially because a lot of decks right now tend to pass the memory over when they swing. And they'll do their board clear prior to that. So after cards after they hit security and cards get spit out, those cards are live for you to swing with on your turn, and typically they're pretty safe after they've played out.
Right. Right. Not to mention like ace threats,
yes,
or aces that get trashed and whatnot, or what those are also pretty interesting. Being able to sneak past the turn and whatnot.
And then we have our 5 lineup, which is also a bit different. There's no Angelomon being run in this list because of the top end that we have. But we do see 3 copies of the Garudamon here, who's just really, really good for aggression, the Alliance, and Security Tech +1 that it offers, not to mention a little bit of a DP boost as well, or a bigger DP boost, rather, I should say. Can just really make you a really big stack, which is really, really good. And then we see them focusing on the Mega Kabuteria and the Lilymon here. Lilymon, I think, was a card that initially a lot of people were like, yeah, this seems fine. But then, like, as she's been
so good
used more, she's probably, like, one of the, if not the, like, best removal as far as level 5 adventure cards go. Because she's just so strong in combination with things like Our Courage United and stuff, where you can, like, have your 5 get cleared, play out a 4, free Evo into Lily, and, like, pop something that's swinging. Or not pop something, but, bottom deck something that's mid-swing. Or just, she can bottom deck a whole board sometimes. She's just very, very powerful. And then Mega Kabuteria is just really, really good for aggression. Letting you unsuspend one of your Digimon on player on Evo just gives you just more aggression in a single turn. And also being able to lock down your opponent, or not lock down, I guess, but being able to suspend your opponent's Digimon to help control their board. It's just strong.
It's sort of like Lilymon, right? In a sense where you can. It's good defense where you play it out of Courage United. If they swung and had like 2 other bodies that could either swing, Evo, whatever, right? You just say, nope, you're not swinging. You're just gonna suspend them, and that could be a sneaky way to just be a defensive option.
Yes, absolutely. And then rounding out the Digimon lineup of the list here, we have Medieval Gallant and Zafaga Ace. So this is really cool. They basically wanted to utilize just how powerful Medieval Gallant and Zafaga Ace are. While utilizing Adventure as sort of like the engine to get there. And this is sort of like what we talked about before, right? where we've seen a couple of different adventure builds now, like Adventure Masty, for example, that just uses the adventure engine to help speed up another archetype or another top end. And so using that in conjunction with Medieval Gallant and Zafaga Ace is really clever. I think it's really cool. It makes a lot of sense. Your green level 5 adventure cards are very powerful. And Garuda also works in conjunction with Medieval Gallant as well. So just strong. Just gives you some really strong options to utilize for the deck. You have more removal than just your top end, which is really nice. And I mean, Medieval Gallant and Zafaga Ace are just such powerful cards. And then aside from that, we see pretty standard lineup for the tamers and everything, just making sure that you have plenty of them for memory gain and play cost reduction. Giving rush to your level 5s and higher is really nice. Memory setter, of course, and then our Courage United is just a busted card. It's so good. But yeah, I think that about covers the list. Not too much else.
This is really interesting.
Really cool to see.
Yeah, no, I mean, Zafaga Ace in and of itself is just a really good card, right? Like being able to suspend, restand, having piercing, vortex, blocker, and then being able to on Evo suspend something and then bot deck multiple bodies potentially is really, really cool. And synchronizes very well with cards like Mega Kabuteri, Lilymon, who suspend bodies, right? So really, really neat tech choice for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're going to scoot on to the next list.
Scooting on to the next list, we've got a Hunters list. This was piloted by the Manu RPG over in Spain. Got first place at a Tamer battle. Hunters is a deck that I've been messing around with again, doing the kind of cirque de roulette of different decks that I've been trying to play. But this is a discussion for another day, but I'm surprised to see Hunters not top as much as maybe some of us expected it to top. I think when we saw a lot of the pieces, we're like, man, like the deck is gas, like this is gonna go super fast, it's gonna go boom boom boom. And to be fair, the deck is still really strong. BT21 Arrestor and the BT21 pieces in general are really, really good for the deck. The new BT21 Tagiru is also really, really good. I think like as a product of the meta, I think it's kind of taken a bit of a side role. But I still think it's really, really strong. This deck in particular kind of focuses, like you see your typical rookie lineup. I think most decks now are running this variant of like the 2 Gumdras, the Psych. The Dracmon as a 1 or 2 of is really nice to be able to just recycle your hand, right? Because you run a lot of Tamers. A lot of times if you get a lot of Tamers just gummed up in your hand, you can just go ahead, go Drac, spit them to the bottom of the deck, and then recycle and refresh your hand, which is really nice. The Shotmon King version, as well as the BT21 Arrestor Dramon, are just excellent ways to cheat out your Tamers. And then you do run 4 of the BT12 Arrestor, which makes sense because this is one of the ways you can give this deck a lot of tempo and aggression, being able to give your stack rush, particularly if you Digivolve, if you Digicross, a rookie on play for 2 and then Evo into Arrestor for free. That gives your body rush and can give you a lot of aggression with that play. I do like the Clockmon. I think people are here in NA aren't running it as much, which is surprising to me. Giving your stack jamming is still really, really good. The on-play of Clock to Cycle also for me is still good value for search. I get why it's fallen off, just because BT21 superior mode typically gets to like massive numbers, so you're just like, you don't really care about jamming because this guy's typically like 18-20k most of the time, right? But at the same time, I still think the search and the blocker potential is still pretty good. And obviously for the BT12 Arrestor, still really good cheeky removal and can get you some multiple swings on your turn as well. The Dark Dramon Ace, I think, has become the favorite ace card for Hunters. Some decks are still running Melga Ace, but Dark Dra being able to de-digivolve, pop lowest play cost, catches people off guard all the time, and it's still a really, really good ace threat. Your Tamers, I think here's a little bit of an interesting spread. You run 3 Uamanos. I think most decks here are running maybe 1 or 2 in NA, but I mean 3 for the memory gain and just being able to, again, turbo up a line is still really, really good. So I see the vision here. 3 Clock or Watchmaker, giving your stack check +1. Again, really, really nice. And when you pair that with multiple Watchmakers, your big Arrestor Dramon swinging for multiple checks is absolutely devastating.
A lot of damage.
Yeah, 4 of the BT21 Tigru, like I said, absolute gas for the deck. Tuck 1, draw 1, and gain a memory is absolutely what this deck needed to stay meta relevant. I really love the option in cross up. Being able to digivolve something from trash is such a great late game play, particularly because before the big deal with hunters was that if you go into superior mode, you lose all your sources, and a lot of stuff is just stuck in trash now. Being able to say, look, we go into early arrestor, we lose out on our pieces, sure, but then crossing up into a BT12 arrestor to give your stack rush is just so good. So good. And I honestly, if I could run more of it, I would. But I think this list makes sense. It's a pretty standard hunters list. I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's tried and tested and pretty darn good. I will say the last thing before we move on is the Damemon. I think a lot of decks here at least have fallen out of favor of Dame just because he whiffs more than he hits. But hey, a one of gotcha, never a bad thing. Never have too little Gamba in your life.
Yeah. No, agreed. Fully agreed.
But now we are moving on to something that you've been cooking with. Take it away, Chief.
Oh, I'm so dude, EX9. Okay. So EX9 is probably one of the sets I've been most excited for in so long. I'm so thrilled to just like, first of all, the classic vibe with all the borders is really cool.
Yeah.
But just to kind of like give a quick little idea of what EX9 offers, right? So we know that we're getting support for both Melga and Wargrey. We're getting support for Puppets as well as Wind Guardians too. So all those archetypes are getting support in this set. Admittedly, the first ones are more so just a single card that kind of is generic enough to go into multiple different archetypes in terms of the Metal Grey Ultras and the Weregar Sagittarius. But then we also, you know, the Puppet and Wind Guardian support is cool too. But the thing I want to talk about today is the DM trade cards. So these are sort of like the feature cards of the set, right? And then specifically, I want to talk about Machine Dramon. So for a while, Machine has been sort of in this weird sort of like lukewarm spot of between black base and purple base, where I think that depending on the meta, one base has been better than the other typically. And so people have tended to, swap back and forth depending on where the format's at. It is my humble opinion, and I could be very wrong, but I'm pretty confident that I think DM base for Machine will be the best base moving forward. So I believe Ben has my list up. My OBS is broken, so Ben's having to record this week. Basically, the cool thing with DM, and this is just something I wanted to talk about very briefly, just in general, and it's something that I feel like that we've lost in a lot of archetypes in the card game, where before in Digi, during early days, there was a lot of like stuff that could happen at the 4s and the 5s, whereas nowadays I feel like most archetypes, at least ones that tend to do the best, the level 4s and level 5s tend to just sort of offer ramp up to your top end. They don't tend to offer too much control or too much like engine like for what the deck's trying to do at their level necessarily. They're just sort of like a middleman piece to either like play out a tamer or evo, or like reduce an evo cost or gain you a memory or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe that's just me. I just feel like a lot. I look around and I feel like a lot of decks just tend to do that more than often, or at least a decent portion of pieces in the decks tend to do that. And it makes sense. It helps speed up the game a bit. But the cool thing with DM is you have a lot of really powerful tools all the way through your 4s and your 5s, where your 5s are your primary form of removal and your 6 is just your staying power. And that's what makes Machine so like powerful. So to kind of get into the actual like list here and stop giving my little opinionated rants. DM is very unique in that it offers the brand new keyword in training, right? So training is in the main phase. By suspending this Digimon, you can place your deck's top face down card as this Digimon's bottom Digivolution card. This effect can also be activated in the breeding area. So you get this chance to basically sort of build more and kind of set up more in the back a little bit if you'd like. And pretty much almost all the level 3s in the set have it except for your searchers. And then pretty much all level 4s have it for DM stuff. I think actually every level 4 has training on it. And a lot of your level 5s have removal based on that. So to kind of just start going through the actual list, we run Pagumon with a 4 of here, where he has, when attacking, you can trash your bottom face down Digivolution card to then Digivolve into a version 5 trait card in the hand or in the trash with cost reduced by 1, and your Machine Dramon is a version 5 trait card. So that offers you like another way to kind of climb into Machine Dramon for a cost of 2 rather than for the full 3, which is pretty good because he evos for 3 over DM trade cards. You can kind of run an actual more standard lineup for Machine with this because the new level 5s that we have are so powerful. They're very, very good cards. So in my list that you'll see that's here, I run like 4 Agus just for some standard search stuff. And a little bit of DP boost at the baseline because all the other searchers offer some sort of like keyword, which you can get that keyword from plenty of other rookies that have training on them. So the DP boost just felt more meaningful, especially because we don't really have a great way to climb DP in the deck just yet. And then we're running 2 copies of each of the BO, the Beta, and the Kuna Mon, just to have different inherit potentials in Raid, Jamming, and Piercing, respectively. And then they all have training, obviously. You don't need to worry about colors in this deck. Everything just evos over DM trait cards. Some cards in the sort of whole scope of it look for specific versions, which there's versions 1 through 5 in the set. You can ignore that for a few of the cards. I don't think any of the version-specific decks are going to be too great unless we see a lot more support for them. And at the moment, the things that can sort of use a DM base outside of Machine are also Alter S and Chimera. And then I think anything else is probably not really going to be much of a real deck just yet, outside of maybe like, I don't know, the Shin Manze stuff in BT22 when we get that, because that stuff seems terrifying. Yeah. But to 4s, we basically run just a lot of like sort of control 4s. We're focused more on digivolving in this because we're not really spitting out any of our like level 4 bodies like we are in like something say like the DM Chimera stuff. So we have like Tuskmon there, just helps you pop something by placing a card face down. You pop a 4,000 DP or less. Unimon can actually give you recovery, which is something Machine hasn't had access to before, at least not typically. So you can place one card in your hand face down as your bottom Digivolution card, and then if you have as many or fewer security cards as this Digimon's face down Digivolution cards, you can recover 1. So typically, if you're at like 2 or like 3 or 2 security, you'll be able to actually recover back up, depending on how many sorcerers you're able to tuck under that guy. Kabuteri just helps you lock something down that can't unsuspend during the next unsuspend phase. And then Ogremon lets you pop a level 4 or lower, so you don't have to worry about DP-based stuff, you just look at levels. All the inherits are pretty generic as well, whereas Tusk just gives you more access to Raid, which can be really powerful for controlling low-end bodies. Unimon gives you DP reduction, Kabuteri lets you suspend something, and Ogremon lets you draw on trash stuff. So that's why there's more Ogremon in there, just to kind of help you with consistency pieces. And then we move on to kind of like the new stars of the show, which are the new level 5s. So I'm not going to spend too much time on like all the intricacies of what they can do. There's a lot of different plays you can do with DM, and that's why I think it has a lot of potential. And I'll probably go over it in a future deck profile once I've actually tested these lists more. At the moment, most of these are just theory crafted and very minorly tested in terms of test hands and my own practice that I've done with them. But they haven't been like put up against like a lot of matchups against some of the top decks in the meta yet. Metal Gray is your DP-based deletion. And keep in mind, for all of these cards, they basically have like a bare minimum that they do for some sort of removal. And then that removal is boosted by how many face-down cards you have in your sources, which typically when you climb into these guys, you'll probably have somewhere from like 2 to 4, depending on how fast you needed to go up your line. Mm-hmm. You'll always at least have 2, typically. And they themselves actually place 1. So I guess actually you'll probably at least have 3, because you'll probably training as a rookie in the back, place 1 as a 4, and then place 1 as a 5. So, you know, something there. So Metal Gray is your DP-based deletion, which with that all in mind, you'll probably be deleting somewhere around 11,000 DP total worth of your opponent's Digimon, which keep in mind, he doesn't delete one thing. He deletes multiple things. He just looks for a DP total, which is really, really good. Metal Mame trashes any 1 Digivolution card for each face-down Digivolution card, and then return something with no Digivolution cards to the bottom of deck. Keep in mind, it's bottom of deck as well, which is really, really strong. Mm-hmm. Andro does DP reduction. Metal Tyranno does de-digivolve a number of times based on how many face-down cards you have, and then pop something 3k or less. And then Megadramon does play cost-based deletion, which you add 1 to that affects play cost maximum based on how many face-down sources you have. So those are all really good there, and they give you kind of all the main keywords that you need outside of Reboot, which you get elsewhere. So you get Sec +1 from Metal Gray, you get the ability to unsuspend at the end of your turn with Metal Mamemon, you get Blocker from Andro, you get Piercing from Metal Tyranno, and then you get the ability to end of attack unsuspend by deleting a Digimon with the lowest level, which you can always target yourself and use your machine effect to save yourself. So you have like pretty much all the means of aggression here. You don't really need to utilize all of the different toolboxy level 5s for inherits that you used to. You get pretty much everything you need now condensed into one package, which means you're more consistent, in my opinion. Like you're not constantly trying to find like, oh, I need my like 1 or 2 of Megadramon to help do this or help do that. And that's not to say that I don't think that black or purple base won't see some play. There's definitely still merit to running those lists. I just think that, in my opinion, I think DM is going to be probably the most consistent way of doing stuff, and you'll still have all of the control and access to things that you need. And one of the biggest things, too, as we move into the new Machine Dramon, who's a very powerful card, is that he actually offers you consistent board control and effect removal, rather than it just being like, okay, I'm going to swing at your unsuspended, or I'm going to force you with collision to die to me and then gain memory, or whatever. Because before, like your old machines that you dropped, you didn't have immediate removal with them outside of like dropping Castramon and de-digivolving something, but that always felt bad because you don't get anything back for that. You had to drop it for 12 or at best like 9 or something like that if you use Supreme Connection. With this new machine, you get immediate removal on top of cost reduction to play him. And you have your protection live right away, and you have consistent removal with your when attacking effect every time. So, New Machine Dramon's an absolute powerhouse of a card. He has on play when digivolving and when attacking. It is only once per turn, though, so you won't be able to get like multiple things off in a turn with this. You can place one level 5 Cyborg or version 5 trait card from your hand to trash as this Digimon's top Digivolution card to activate one on play effect on the place card as the effect of this Digimon, which means that you're going to be activating any sort of removal that you might need from your Metal Gray, Metal Mame, Andro, Metal Tyranno, or Megadramon. Or any other Cyborg or version 5 trait card you choose to run. And then all turns when it would leave the battle area, regardless of whether it's your own effect or your opponent's effect, you'll be able to trash the bottom 2 face down or Cyborg trait Digivolution cards, and it doesn't leave. And that's not a once per turn, so that you can just keep on using. So you can kind of get the idea now that like you basically have a consistent way at your Machine Dramon to add back your level 5, so your stack, and remove things, which is really, really cool. And then it also has assembly, a brand new keyword, where it kind of functions a little bit like Digicross, but it's primarily from the trash, and it's a bit more restrictive where you can't place up to a number of cards. You have to place that specific number of cards to get it. So you can't like only do, like for example, for Machine, right? He's assembly -6, so you can play him for 6. If you place 4 level 5 Cyborg trait Digimon cards with different names, when this will be played by placing the specified cards from the trash under it, reduce the play cost. So you can't do like Cross, for example, where you can use like 3 out of the 5 pieces for the Digicross. You have to specifically have all 4 of what it's looking for, basically, which is just 5 Cyborg trait cards with different names. So it's fairly simple to accomplish. You run more than enough. Like I'm running 10 in my list. Or actually, no, sorry, I'm running more than that. I'm running, 9, 11, 13 in my list. Because I wanted to be able to see them as consistent as possible. I had an old list that was running 10 that felt too low, so that's why my brain went to that initially. Sorry. But you see it pretty consistently where you'll be able to pull those cards out of trash or put those cards into trash rather and set up the assembly for late game kind of comeback. But assembly is not like your main go-to strategy necessarily. It's more of like, oh, my machine stack got wiped. Okay, well, here's another one. is the type of idea you want to go for. So he's just a very powerful card, and he gets further boosted in what he can do thanks to things like the new Analog Man, who's a memory setter. You'll notice in my list I'm not running any of the BT11 Analog Man. I just felt like I needed to... He's not a DM trait card, so there's less consistency there, and it's harder to use him with everything. Because you're not going to have as many Cyborg pieces in hand constantly, but you're faster in climbing your line typically with this, and more consistent in your removal, where you don't need as many redirects all the time, which is important to note. But he basically has when any of your play cost 7 or higher trait, Cyborg, Machine, or DM trait Digimon are played, you can suspend this timer to draw one and gain a memory, and then you can place one card from your hand face down as any of those Digimon's bottom Digivolution cards, which is really, really powerful. So that means that you can get more face down sources for all of your effects, which just makes your removal more and more powerful for that comeback potential. And it just works really well. And the more of him you have on the board, the cheaper you can play out Machine. So you can get like your assembly cost 6 Machine down to like all the way from 5 to 2 cost, which is really, really insane. And then the other tamer that we run is the Analog Youth, who's just really strong for just helping you keep cycling even more face down cards, because you tuck one under a DM trait card at the start of your main phase. Whenever you place a card, you'll gain a memory, and if you have 7 fewer cards in hand, you'll draw one. So you'll be able to very quickly maintain your hand size, help you cycle more, and just gives you extra memory to work with on your turn, which can be valuable, of course. And he gives us the reboot keyword that we so desperately really wanted, where all of our Digimon with face down Digivolution cards get reboot, which is really, really powerful. And then I was running like 2 Chaos Dramonics Anybody in here initially, but with him not being a DM trait and not being able to use Analog Youth with him, I was like, I don't know if I really want to run him. I'm going to try without him for now. I might still go back to that. There's also merit to running like 1 or 2 EX1 machines in here just to like have that DP reduction protection, especially with Sakuya running around everywhere. But you know, that's just like, that's more testing stuff that needs to happen. But the next big highlight card is Meat. Meat. It's basically training for DM is effectively what it is. And instead of searching, like revealing 2 and taking 1, you just draw 1. But otherwise, you place a face down card under your DM trait Digimon to then Digivolve it into a DM trait Digimon card from the hand with the cost reduced by 2. So that's sort of the big highlight. And then last but not least, because I've dragged on long enough for this, is Protein, which is something I'm just going to test out a bit more. I'm not completely sold on it yet, but it's the same thing where it's a 2 cost, you draw 1, and then you can trash it to trash one of your DM trait Digimon's bottom 2 face down Digivolution cards to unsuspend them. So it just gives you more aggression with Machine, which means you just being able to get more punches in a turn with this guy, especially when you have Sec +1, his own built-in unsuspends, piercing, and everything else is just really, really good. But yeah, so that's kind of the idea with DM stuff. Hopefully this kind of helps put together an idea of how the list is going to like look maybe moving forward, or how they might function a little bit. I know I'm kind of speed running through everything, but I will probably do a more dedicated deck list in the future on these. I have got lists for all the DM trait cards. I'm very invested in this set, so expect like a lot of stuff from me on that. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, and I, on the other hand, aren't. A lot of the deck crafting this set is gonna come from TJ. So he has got. I'm excited to see what you've cooked up. I mean, he's got a lot of lists for Machine. He's got a lot of lists for, like you said, all the DM stuff, Omni, the new DNA stuff that we're gonna be seeing with like Crest and Blitzgray and the new Omni that we got. So you're gonna be cooking.
Abaddamon as well.
Abaddamon too. So I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot that you have on the docket, which be excited for, because he has put a lot of time and effort into it. So yeah, I'll let you wrap it up.
Yeah. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this sort of was educational on DM stuff, and congrats to the people who topped with their decks at the beginning of this video. I'm sorry if it ran on a bit longer than intended. But I just really wanted to highlight some of this stuff a little bit early for some of our members. So we're gonna head out. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. And say the line, Ben.
Yeah, we'll catch you on that flippy flip. Bye-bye.
Bye.